Studies Weekly Social Studies covers 100% of the Social Studies K-5 Next Generation Sunshine State Standards, along with Language Arts Florida Standards, including nonfiction reading, writing, speaking, listening, viewing, and using technology. Our 100% digital publication program comes with free print materials to ensure that students operating on the concrete level can learn social studies content using modalities and strategies that work best for individual learners. Studies Weekly features our special Learn to Live Difference. Our curricula guides students to develop the skills needed now and into their adult lives. Creativity, critical thinking, collaboration, communication to develop the skills needed now and into their adult lives. Using strategies such as debate carousels, the Cornell note-taking method, and Web 2.0 publishing, students will build skills in supporting opinions with evidence, critical thinking, communication, collaboration, creativity, and problem solving. Studies Weekly materials can be taught during the literacy block or during a dedicated social studies period. Our expert professional development trainers can assist your teachers with the perfect level of implementation that meets the needs of your students and the district's time allotment. While our nonfiction texts are engaging and standards-based, please keep in mind that our publications are meant to be taught in a shared or modeled reading setting. The domain-specific vocabulary and content require the expertise of a teacher. It is not a program that is meant to be an independent reading or self-taught subject area. Teachers will find that our social studies content is developmentally appropriate for the age and maturity level of the intended students. There are plenty of opportunities for students to engage in the reflection and discussion within the Studies Weekly materials, too. Studies Weekly's editorial department is comprised of former elementary school teachers, including those with National Board certification and advanced degrees. Our seasoned veteran educators have experience in K-5 classrooms working with diverse populations of students, including students with individual education plans, English language learners, and students with varying exceptionalities. All student and teacher materials align with the Florida state standards, incorporate differentiation and scaffolding suggestions, and include universal design for learning strategies. Within our teacher resources, you'll find social studies journal templates, alternate assessment opportunities to accommodate all learners, plenty of open-ended questions to encourage students to think deeply, lots of project-based learning activities along with corresponding scoring rubrics, and we incorporated suggested targeted instructional strategies and targeted assessment strategies throughout the materials. Studies Weekly curricula were created by teachers for teachers. All of our publications accurately represent the domain of knowledge and events. You'll find that Studies Weekly presents the state standards in an objective manner, is free of interpretive bias, and distinguishes between facts and possible interpretations or opinions expressed about factual information. Our expert in-house graphic designers and award-winning video content producers contribute to the accuracy of the publications as well. Studies Weekly publications reflect the time periods appropriate for the objectives and the intended learners. Our content is relevant to the learners, to the curriculum frameworks, and to the concepts presented. Our content format and deliver make it easy to update as needed, so the articles and activities are never obsolete. For example, when the United States elects a new president this November, the following year's publications will reflect the change in our Commander-in-Chief, too. Our online assessments portal feature new tech-enhanced questioning formats, including matching, labeling, sequencing, and the use of drop-down menu answer choices. The Student Learning Index allows teachers and administrators to view student progress and increase mastery of standards-based concepts. Studies Weekly uses Daggett's Rigor and Relevance Framework to analyze each part of our publications. The Rigor and Relevance Framework allows us to develop instructional materials that include connections to the students' life situations in order to make the content as relevant as possible. Our teacher supplement materials include interdisciplinary connections in order to make content meaningful. Students can expect to engage in hands-on projects, completing research online or in the Media Center, creating products, and publishing their ideas and work using Web 2.0 technologies and applications. Our lesson plan suggestions include explanations and activities for using skills and knowledge from other academic disciplines and assignments that require students to relate learning from other disciplines, including science, math, engineering, language arts, fine arts, and technology. Our media includes virtual field trips, including the Castillo de San Marcos, the St. Augustine Alligator Farm Zoological Park, and NASA's Kennedy Center located on Florida's Space Coast. Our materials are engaging, entertaining, and fun. Check out our Discovery Dan as he explores NASA and hosts our award-winning Project Time experiment series. Studies Weekly provides social studies resources that reflect a diverse country and examine multiple perspectives of our collective past. Our multicultural consultant, Dr. Carlos Diaz, is a professor emeritus ED in curriculum and instruction at Florida Atlantic University. He specialized in multicultural curriculum theory, equity in U.S. education, Latino education, global education, and multicultural infusion in the social studies curriculum. Dr. Diaz was also Palm Beach County's K-12 Director of African American and Latino Studies for several years. Dr. Diaz thoroughly examined our K-5 social studies publication to ensure a balanced representation of cultures and groups in positive leadership roles. Studies Weekly embraces diversity and multiculturalism as evident with our series of mini documentaries for Black History Month, Hispanic Heritage Month, Women's History Month, and Native American Month, to name a few.
As you know, I was 6 years old and not really understanding what was going on around me at the time. I had already attended school for kindergarten and a couple of months of first grade. So this wasn't like my first day of school, but this was my first day, attending an integrated school, supposedly. And I say supposedly because the minute I got inside of the building, parents rushed in and they took their kids out. So I actually attended this all-white school alone for a whole year. I sat in an empty classroom with a teacher that was white, who came from Boston to teach me because teachers in New Orleans refused to teach Black children. So lots of them quit their jobs.
And there are videos for every day of those months, along with award-winning interviews of Japanese internment camp survivors, Holocaust survivors, and a vast library of exclusive civil rights primary sources interviews who participated in some of the seminal events of the civil rights movement, including Ruby Bridges, Joan Trumpauer Mulholland, and Hank Thomas, to name a few. Sometimes adults ask each other why children are not more empathetic. The reason is simple. They've not had enough life experience to make the connections and develop empathy for those who are different from themselves, and sometimes even for those who are similar. Studies Weekly provides the platform for educators to infuse classroom lessons and experiences with age-appropriate examples in narrative and visuals, materials that depict the care and kind treatment of people. Our Holocaust survivor and liberator interviews demonstrate compassion and care for others. Our interview series includes stories of people who immigrated to the United States who are now successful business owners and citizens.
I never saw anything wrong with our way of life or the way my life was. I had everything I needed as far as I'm concerned, and having holes in my shoes was what everybody else had. After working in hotels for a year or so, a German couple that I helped in Cuba invited me to go to Germany. So I went to Germany at the end of '97 for 4 months. And I got to see all that and, hot water in the shower and toilet paper in the store and chocolate bars everywhere. And then when I came back to Cuba, I couldn't bear being there. And for 2 years, I had to fight against the fact that I knew I could be better, that I knew I could have a better life, that I knew I could grow and make one of those dreams I saw out there come true. When it comes to immigration, America was the only country that would allow me to come in and stay.
And what's really exciting is Studies Weekly is creating a comprehensive video virtual field trip tour documenting the major civil rights movement sites combined with interviews, photos, and other rich primary source content. Studies Weekly's digital materials help guide students to feel empathy and consideration toward others. Studies Weekly is America's new digital textbook, and we want to be Florida's adopted social studies K-5 textbook. Please visit our Florida adoption webpage to learn more about our digital materials, resources, assessments, and our Spanish language versions of Studies Weekly. Studies Weekly's Learn to Live lessons and strategies will enable Florida students to become amazing problem solvers, critical thinkers, and responsible citizens.